Welcome to Leaders in Conversation with your host, Nozipho Tshabalala. Today we are featuring Brunch with Noma 2024. The reason why I'm bringing you this special edition is because this year was the final installment of the Brunch with Noma. The event happened on the 6th of April in 2024. Brunch with Noma was born in 2021 with the aim of empowering women across all spheres. The Brunch with Noma's theme for this year was Beyond Boundaries. Beyond Boundaries, especially for women, represent a transformative journey of breaking through societal, professional, and personal limitations. It embodies the courageous push against outdated norms and gender bias restrictions that have confined women for far too long. It signifies the audacious strides taken by women to shatter glass ceiling, disrupt gender stereotypes, and claim their positions as leaders, innovators, and game changers across all various industries. In essence, it heralds a new era where women are unapologetically charting unexplored territories, dismantling barriers, and creating a world where their potential knows no bound. Join us for this conversation of the Brunch with Noma as part of our special edition on the Leaders in Conversation. So today we are not doing anything that is ordinary that you are used to. I don't have any guest upon my leadership couch. However, I do have Nozipho Tshabalala. She spoke to us about the strategies for measuring business impact to drive growth.
With Nozipho Tshabalala.
I'm about to introduce our first speaker who's going to be talking about scaling business, right? And I think it's important for us to talk about scaling businesses because it's been a while since we've been talking about side hustles. I think a lot of us started with side hustles. At the first Brunch with Noma, I remember we spoke about how to start a business. And I think at the second one, we spoke about what are the legal implications and the legal requirements that are needed in order for you to start a business. So I think we are done doing the foundation work. I think everyone around this room now knows how to start a business, right? And we are probably running businesses or running side hustles. And I think it's important for us now that we are running, these businesses and side hustles that we are running is to take them beyond boundaries, right? And this is the purpose of having Nozipho Tshabalala as coming in, who's going to be talking about scaling businesses for growth. And that's the era that we are all in currently. So Nozipho is the CEO of the Conversation Strategist, where she moderates global conversations that are designed to have measurable outcomes. She is known as the go-to moderator for presidential and high-level panel conversations globally. Guys, like we've got the real deal, right? She has moderated conversations for global bodies, including the World Bank, the IMF, the International Labour Organizations, the United Nations, the African Union, governments, and multinationals around the world. With an academic and practice background spanning from economics, politics, and policy development, business and strategy, and social economics, she is in demand for her unique and insightful abilities to facilitate complex conversations. Her prior experience has included serving in the presidency in South Africa, Umlambo Foundation, Tata Africa, and as an award-winning journalist at CNBC Africa. She currently serves the LRMG Group as a transformation executive, and she sits around various board of directors. She serves as an advisor in various entities. She is our global moderator that is currently based in South Africa.
Beautiful to see all of you, looking so beautiful. And thank you so much, Noma, for having me. So Noma spent a little bit of time introducing the work that I do as a conversation strategist. I like to simplify it, and I like to think about it as, I just want to make sure that my presentation is up, if we can get that up. Thank you so much. I like to think about it as working with smart people, helping them to have simple conversations that make the world a better place. And the visible part of my work often looks like me moderating panels in different stages all over the world. But today I want to take a step back from what is visible. As we think about the strategies for measuring growth, a lot of what I'm going to talk about is invisible. When Noma asked me to speak about, to come and talk to us about your strategies that you're using for measuring growth, I honestly was taken back to a place where I once found myself stumped. When people come up to me and say, Nozi, how do you know that the conversation you're moderating actually is going to have an impact? How do you measure the fact that you're actually making a difference? And time again, as I got that question, I was stumped and I couldn't get to the answer. Because it's easy if you're manufacturing bottles, right? Growth is in the volume of bottles. The more you manufacture, the more you're growing, and maybe you even start to export, right? Even the services industry is not so bad. You can literally count the number of beds that your guests have occupied in a given period for you to be able to know whether you're growing or not. How do you measure a conversation? How do you measure the impact of me right here, right now, and who it will move and who it will not? And so when I saw the title, I said, oh, I can't believe this. I have to go back to this really difficult place. But here I am, because I was able to release myself from the chains of feeling that I needed to put metrics of growth that were existing in the world. And I realized that the work that I do requires me to measure whether I'm making progress and whether I'm growing in a different way. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. I've got 5 strategies, 5 ways in which I keep myself true, 5 ways that allow me to answer the question whether what I'm doing, my life's work, my purpose, is actually having an impact or not. It's my true north, and it is my guardrail that helps me really get aligned with whether I'm moving forward or not. So there's 5 of them. The first one, there we go. The first one is value over volume. We live in a world that celebrates volume. We live in a world that celebrates more. The more engagements, the more stages, the more conversations. That is what we associate with growth and breaking through boundaries, if you will. And to be quite honest, I think I was stuck in this vortex myself for quite a long time, because I thought, if I'm booked and busy, right? In fact, there's another B we add. We say, booked and busy and blessed, right? Then that means I'm growing, and that means I'm moving in the right direction. But here's the kicker. Volume, rather, is a really great strategy for getting started. It is not a good strategy for sustaining growth over time, right? Because when you get started, you need every single opportunity that's given to you to learn, to build muscle, to calibrate your craft, and to keep getting better. Malcolm Gladwell, I think, calls it the 10,000 hours, right? But then what happens after 10,000 hours? What happens when you are already really good at what you do? Do you still chase, and I hate this word, I hope we never use it again, gigs? Because if you call it a gig, you're reducing your gift to a gig, but we'll talk about that. And so I realized that I needed to change the metric, that I can't use volume as a measure of growth or success. I needed to shift it to value. So I had to ask myself, but Nozi, what is value exactly? And the first thing about value is that it's actually got nothing to do with you. Value is not about you. It's not about the number of stages. It's not about the number of clients. It's not about the number of things that you're doing. It is how your clients perceive what you have done and what you have delivered. So the first invitation to value is to decenter yourself and get out of your own way. When the office of President Kagame calls me and says, Nozi, we need you to moderate a conversation. When Ajay Banga, the president of the World Bank, says, Nozi, I need you to come to the spring meetings, he does not care whether it's my first engagement or my 7th engagement for that week. What he cares about is, are you going to deliver value? And for both of these gentlemen, value is, number one, will we have more brand equity once you've done? Will people recognize and perceive our brand against the strategic objectives that we invited you to come and speak about? They are going to be concerned about their stakeholders and the extent to which I was able to carry and nurture their intentions with their stakeholders in a way that makes sense to them. And if you think about it, just for a second, value is actually the invitation to purpose. Purpose is how your outward expression of your work makes impact in the world. It is not about you. So, if you want to get closer to finding your purpose, and I'm saying inverted commas because it's a whole different conversation, because you don't find your purpose, it's already there, you just need to connect with it. Get out of your own way. Get away from volume. Move closer to value. Decenter yourself and ask for the people whom I'm serving through my purpose, what is important to them? Now, second point I want to make before I get to seeding and harvesting. Somebody's changing for me. Don't change. Ima, I'm coming. The second point I want to make about value over volume is based on this picture. So this is Café de Flore. It's in Paris. And I'd heard about Café de Flore many times. Like, if you're in Paris, you've got to go to Café de Flore. It's like the best cafe in the world. And, you know, if you haven't had breakfast at Café de Flore, you probably haven't really been to Paris. So the last time I was in Paris, about a month and a half ago, I decided to go to Café de Flore. And it was raining. And I didn't have an umbrella. And when I got there, there was a line of people in the rain waiting to get into Café de Flore. And I just thought to myself, ugh, am I going to sit and wait in the rain? But if everybody else is standing outside in the rain, there's got to be something about Café de Flore. I've got to get inside Café de Flore. So I waited. And I got rained on, and I waited. And then finally, this beautiful French woman walks forward, and she says, Madame, voilà la table. Here's your table. And I walk in, and the place is half empty. And I thought to myself, why are these guys making people stand in the rain if the place is half empty? And then it clicked. The perception of value is also built on the principle of scarcity. You need not be available for every single opportunity that comes knocking on your door. Because some knocks are distractions, keeping you from focusing on the thing that you are supposed to be doing, which is giving an outward expression of your work on the world, living your purpose. I was very intentional when I left CNBC and decided that I was going to do the work of conversation strategy. That I was not only going to call myself a conversation strategist, I was going to live that fully. And what that meant was saying no to the job offers from CNN, from MasterCard, from so many blue chip companies in South Africa, and saying, I know I'm capable of doing those jobs, but the discipline of value says and dictates and commands that I say no. So my invitation to you as well this morning is to think about, how do you create a life where you are so valuable, you are sought after, that people will stand in the rain in order to get access to what you have to offer? And the first step to doing that is letting go of volume. Okay, let's move on. Okay, you gonna click for me? Okay. The second metric, if we're going to break boundaries today, is seeding before harvesting. But we know this one. We've seen it in the Bible. We talk about it all the time. We know that we've got to seed before harvesting, right? But we don't like it. Because think about it. Who's ever seen anybody on the cover of Forbes because they're being celebrated for the idea they're still working on and nobody's seen the results of it yet? We don't celebrate and we don't award seeding. We give people platform and applause because they are in their season of harvesting. And what I'm going to tell you today is that harvesting is only the evidence of your seeding. And if you haven't done the work of seeding, and if you're not measuring your growth by what you've seeded, then you're actually tracing the wrong metric, right? So, I want to speak about two things about seeds. The first of these is that the quality of your seed determines the quality of your harvest. I often get, especially young people in my DMs, "Oh, Nozi, please can I shadow you? I just want to be around you, and I just think your work is amazing." And when I prod and I ask questions, I realize that what they actually mean is, no, I want to be on flights, I want travel destinations, I want to be passport gang, I want rooms, I want leaders, I want nice outfits, I want makeup. That is 10% of the work that I do. 90% is invisible and unseen work. And some of that invisibility sits in the seeding of reading. I read. Because this Monday, I leave to go to Geneva to go and talk about occupational health and safety in global supply chains. I leave Geneva on Wednesday to go to Oxford for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to go talk about philanthropic giving on the African continent. The next week, I go to the spring meetings to go talk about energizing Africa and making sure that renewable energy is a reality for the 600 million Africans who don't have electricity. Do you understand how much reading of each of those themes has to take place in order for me to stand with this much confidence that you're seeing now in front of a room of experts? Nobody is going to see you in those reading moments. Those moments they're not on stage. They're not on camera. They're not in visibility. So remember, the quality of your seed determines the quality of what you will deliver. So the thing you should be measuring is the quality of your preparation. Right? And I know that it's not easy to always choose to prepare excellently. We just want to deliver excellently, right? It's just such a nice idea that you just come onto the stage and it just happens. And it doesn't. You have to choose to prepare excellently. And it's hard work. And when I get tired, I go back to two stories. The first story is about a sculptor, so the guys that make sculptures, who takes down a sculpture because it has a crack on the arm, but that's a crack that's invisible to the naked eye. And as he's doing that, a tourist walks in and says, "Complete waste of money, complete waste of effort. Why would you take that down? Nobody can see that there's a scratch on the arm of that sculpture." And the sculptor responds and says, "I know. Nobody else needs to know. I know." So my invitation to you today is, when you choose the quality of your seed, remember it's about you choosing excellence and not because anybody else can see it. Whether they see it or not is neither here nor there. The second story is a story of John Stephen Aquari. It's 1986. He goes to the Olympics in Mexico City, and he signed up for the marathon, 42 kilometers. He starts running. And literally within the first 5 kilometers, he gets injured. He's caught up in a tussle of people, he gets injured. And for all intents and purposes, anybody who's a runner would look at that and say, "Yeah, no, that guy should stop running." And what John does is he keeps running, and he keeps running. And no, John doesn't win. And no, he doesn't come second. And no, he doesn't come third. John doesn't come 10th. It's not that story. But what begins to happen is that when the person just before John comes through and the crowds realize that John is still going to be at least another hour, they start leaving. And he continues to run. The stadium is empty. And he continues to run. One journalist from BBC stays behind and decides, no man, this guy, I'm going to go and find out. John, why did you keep running? And John said, I didn't come here to start a race. I came here to finish a race. Right? So, I'm not advocating that we work when injured before everybody comes for me. What I am saying is, do the invisible work, do the hard work, whether the stadium is full or empty. Right? What I am saying is, be committed to finishing what you've started, even if it means pivoting along the way, even if it means learning lessons and then applying them differently. That is growth. I finished what I started. Did I learn something along the way? Yes. Did I finish where I wanted to? Maybe not. But am I better for having gone through the experience? Absolutely. I always talk about the work of Ryan Holiday. He says the struggle is the way. In the absence of struggle, there's no breakthrough. So if you want to get better at something, you've got to submit yourself to the struggle of getting there and breaking there. And if you just keep doing things excellently with no struggle, guess what? You're not growing. So, substance over form, metric number 3. And this one is a hard one, especially in a room full of women. And especially in a room full of black women, because here it is. One of the ways in which we know we're growing in our leadership is when we start getting invited to boards, right? Because when you get an invitation to a board, it is evidence of people saying, your growth in leadership is so distinctive that we believe that your insights and your experience could help us run our organization even better, right? And so we take that and we're like, okay, a sign of growth is sitting on boards. Fair enough. I sit on a number of boards. I sit on a board of an organization based out of New York. I've just been appointed to a board of a listed company here. I've just been appointed as a chairperson of a leadership and development company on the continent. And so I too recognize and resonate with this idea that a part of my growth in leadership is evidenced in boards. So where does substance over form fit in? The accountants in the room will tell you that substance over form is a definition, which means that to get the true value of a company's health, you not only need to look at the form, which is the legally recorded transactions, but you need to look at the substance of the company, which is the company and all its transactions in totality, to make a call whether this company is fit financially or not. In English, and for us, like me, who are not accountants, substance over form means this. You will be invited to boards as a woman, as a black woman, as a young woman, because our affirmative action policies in the country have created the space to do that. But there's a lot of women. There's a lot of black women. There's a lot of young black women. And so your form, your fact that you're a woman, the fact that you're black, the fact that we are young is not going to cut it. It's not enough. What we're looking for is your substance. So when you are in the room, what does it mean to show up with substance over form? It starts with how you walk into the room. Because you've chosen a quality seat and yet you are more prepared than anybody else. Right? You know the board pack inside out. You've taken the time to engage industry leaders to help you understand the things even you don't understand so that you can advise from a point of knowledge. You are so prepared that the chairperson is happy to say, Nozi, would you like to lead the meeting? When you speak, your voice moves the needle. Because you start off by speaking from a place of chutzpah. You trust your gut. You trust what you have to say because you've done the work. And if you haven't done the work, you can only rely on your form. And here's the thing. So many other people have the form. So you do the preparation. You go over and beyond. You take down the sculptor and you replace it with something more excellent, right? You show up with substance of a form. But more than that, and I get in trouble for this, so please forgive me. When you're in the room, it's not enough to occupy space. No, it's not enough. We've got to expand space. We've got to reconfigure the table so that there's more seats they can sit at that table. We have to create the pathway for others to follow. We have to widen the gates so more people can follow after you. That's what people with substance show up as. Because if they were showing up with form, the most important thing would be, I am the only black woman. I am the only. But because it is substance, they are able to not only redesign the agenda, but they're able to reconfigure the table altogether. So, it's your substance. It's not your form. And if you're going to grow, and if you're going to break through boundaries, you better start focusing on your substance and just remember that your form is the same as millions of other women out there who have the exact same opportunity. How you're going to distinguish yourself is through your substance.
In the heart of Africa's vibrant business landscape, there is a force driving change, innovation, and growth. Introducing Ziana Group, a beacon of bespoke professional services, pioneering the future of business solutions and technology across the continent. At Ziana Group, we are more than just consultants. We're partners in progress. Our ethos, people-centered, solutions-driven, and technology-inclined. With our cutting-edge AI-powered HR digital technology and a commitment to customer success, we empower organizations to unlock the unlimited potential of their people and optimize operational processes. In a rapidly evolving work landscape where talent is seeking control and new concepts like fractional talent are emerging, Ziana Group stands ready to navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities. Rooted in sub-Saharan Africa with a strong presence across multiple countries including Kenya, Nigeria, Mozambique, and more, Ziana Group is dedicated to driving superior business performance across the region. Join us in shaping the future of African business. Ziana Group, empowering the future of African business.
I love this one. Bullets before cannonballs. So this concept comes from Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great. And Jim Collins says, before you take out your cannonball, your bazooka, and you shoot at the target and do this thing that you've been meaning to do all your life, take the time to fire some bullets first. And he uses an incredible story. He says, imagine you're at sea and you are under attack by another warship, and you've got bullets and you've got one cannonball. If you take the cannonball as that ship is approaching and you shoot at the warship and you miss, most likely you're going to be defeated and you're going to die. But if you take the first bullet and you shoot, you look up, you check how far you are from target, you calibrate, you take another bullet, and then you shoot a little bit closer, and you keep going, you keep calibrating, you keep iterating, and you keep getting closer to your target. And then when you're feeling that you have some degree of certainty that you're going to hit the target, that's when you take out the cannonball, and that's when you shoot the cannonball. If you think about the iPhone is the cannonball. The bullets were the iPod. So in 2001, Apple introduced the iPod, and it was this amazing thing, 1,000 songs on a small device. And then in 2002, they shot another bullet, they calibrated, shot another bullet, and they said, what if we increase storage? What if we make it slimmer? And then in 2005, they shot another bullet, and they said, what if we give it color? What if we allow people to share songs? And then only when they felt certain did the iPhone become the replacement of the iPod. Today, we think about, it's almost nonsensical that we'd have a separate device for music when we listen to music on our phones. But it started, actually, with the iPod. So what is the thing that I want you to take from this, and how does this relate to growth? There is no shame on working on the small ideas. There is no shame on focusing. Say Hambil, it's okay. There is no shame in focusing on the things that other people might not think are big enough right now, are incredible enough. But if you know that that's my bullet, and all I'm doing is I'm shooting the bullet, I'm taking in the feedback, I'm calibrating on the back of that feedback, and I'm going to shoot again, because boy, will you be surprised when I shoot my cannonball. Even ideas that are born big, because we dream big, start with small beginnings. Do not be ashamed of working on your small beginnings. And what happens if you do that intentionally? If you shoot bullets over cannonballs, firstly, you have a lot more comfort around, why am I doing this right now? Other people might not understand. Why is he not just growing in? You know that you're trying to shoot a bullet and that your cannonball will come. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you're not running a business, why am I choosing this job now before applying for that job? Because you know the skill that you're trying to get right now. You know the reputation you're trying to build right now. You know the brand that you're building up right now, so that by the time you go and shoot your cannonball, it's a given that it is yours. But if we think that everything that we do must be an absolute disruptor and make everything that came before it and completely displace everything, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. Growth is not a luck event. It's a managed process. Growth is not you don't get lucky and grow. It's a managed process. So, my last and final metric, significance over success. About 10 years ago, I was invited to a leadership program called the Young African Leadership Initiative, YALI. And this idea of significance over success was seeded for me. And the idea is simply this. We all want to be successful. When we grow up, we begin to paint images of what success might look like for us. For others, it's a certain number in the bank account. For others, maybe it's assets like property and cars or whatever you consider an asset. For others, it's just running a happy home and making sure that your family is whole and happy. But we all have this personal vision of what success means to us. And here's the thing. Success is about you. Success is about counting your achievements. Success is about measuring the things that are...
For more from Leaders in Conversation with Nozipho Tshabalala, you can continue listening to the rest of this episode on your audio streaming service app. Our podcast is available on various audio streaming platforms. Details in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.